Hi, Shannon O'Flaherty here, and tonight I'm going to talk to you all about a little introduction to the sacral chakra, which is the second chakra up. And because I've predominantly been using the chakra system and the brain waves over the last 20 years that I've been a spiritual coach and healer, and radically transformed my own life using these modalities and the lives of countless of other people, this is why I really wanted to share this with you today too. So let's see if I can get my slides up here first time. That didn't do it. Hold on a minute. I'm going to, let's try this again. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so, right, so we just talked about that. So the sacral chakra is our second chakra, and it's also known as the womb chakra, and it's about our emotional and sensual well-being, and this sits just below the belly button, and it's often seen as orange. And we dive into a more kind of earthly experience of our desire and our sexuality and our sensuality, and all of our feelings and pleasure sit in this chakra. It governs the womb and the ovaries and the uterus and the testes and the reproductive system. It also governs our spleen and our stomach and our liver, bladder, and lower back. So if you just think about all of the organs that this sacral chakra governs, and the female menstrual cycle for a starter, think of like emotions all over the place. And then, like, that's not enough. We get another whole spate of emotions with menopause later on. But this isn't just women. Men have their own set of emotions too, and not just having to deal with all of the hormonal women, but they have their own set of male issues too, because this is where we are substantiating all of those dark pixels that we built up in our root chakras. So because our sacral chakra is about us going out into the world and having our own experience with it, this is when we start to pile up layers and layers and layers of darkness, blocking our light. Now, this is a yin chakra, and like I said before, female, and it sometimes is seen as orange. But if you can see energy vortexes, by the way, and you're not seeing them as the colors that they're supposed to be, don't worry about that. Don't think that you're getting it wrong. There's no getting it wrong. If you're seeing colors at all in the auric field, I mean, how exciting is that? That's something to celebrate. This sacral chakra boosts our awareness and encourages us to explore what being human is all about. And it really resonates with our need for relationship and need to either control or create the dynamics of our physical world. In other words, are we going to worry and be in a place of anxiety, or are we going to choose to go with the flow of things? The second chakra also really moves us away from our familial authority, and it allows us to discover our own kind of satisfying relationships in the world and make up our own minds about all of this. But this is also where we're going to come into the struggle of just being ourselves, because we're from the root chakra, those little baby selves, right? We're so accustomed to just pleasing mommy and daddy and being the good girl and being the good boy, that sometimes stepping out in life on our own can be too scary, and we don't feel strong enough to make up our own minds and our own decisions about things. So we become people pleasers, Can everybody relate to that? Yeah. Have you ever been a people pleaser when you're literally bending over backwards? Here's the lower back stuff to put everybody else's issues and problems ahead of your own. And when you're a people pleaser, you don't ask for help, and then you're really upset when you finally do ask for help that people aren't there to serve you the way that you've been serving others. So we set up this vicious circle for ourselves. This all happens in the sacral chakra. Its main focus is creativity and allowing the individual to discover and explore who they are and have fun in the world. Hence, dancing is the answer, because dancing is a really great way to keep your sacral chakra in balance. And it's centered on our personal identity and also how we respond to all of the seductive forces in the world. So if our second chakra is unbalanced, it can lead to addictions of drugs or sex or gambling and money. And we could feel really out of sorts with ourselves and just tend not to appreciate all of the joys that life is bringing us on a day-to-day basis. And emotionally, we may feel self-critical. We could experience lower back pain, feel unsupported. We may lose our sexual appetite, or we may feel a desperate urge to satisfy our physical needs. And this could, of course, lead to very guilt-inducing destructive behavior. You know, for much of my young adult life, I was like, my second chakra was so out of balance. And I felt like I was this emotional pendulum swinging from one extreme back and forth to the other. I mean, seriously, out of control. I mean, I was a little nymphomaniac actually at some point in time, which really only served to fragment me from my authentic self more and more and more. And I felt guilty all the time. I woke up with dread in my guts every day. And self-esteem, I had none of that, none of that. And I also felt fearful and rather paranoid and angry sometimes for absolutely no apparent reason. Anybody here relate to that? Go ahead and type guilty below if you can relate to any of that at any time in your life. This is all sacral chakra stuff. And there's no shame in it, because we're all human. And when we go out there and be human, this is how we find out about ourselves, right? Basically, when our second chakra is out of whack, our emotions are going to reflect that. Either we won't have very much emotional stability if our second chakra is out of whack. If it's in balance, we will feel emotionally stable and balanced too. And this is really about having the power to realize and utilize our talent to express the life that we really want to do for ourselves. So when your sacral chakra is in distress, it can form abusive relationships, controlling relationships. It might lead to bullying in the workplace or create fear and abandonment. You could have loss of creative or financial power. Essentially, we lose our resourcefulness when our second chakra is not in balance, and we could isolate ourselves or even move into victim mentality. Because mentally, the second chakra is about wisdom, relationship, interaction, and creation. It's really the foundation of a healthy ego that allows us to interact with the world without selling ourselves short and without pretending to be someone that we're not. really following our truth. Sometimes you go through life and you don't even know what your opinion is about something. I remember feeling that way in my early 20s, that I didn't have a strong opinion about many things. Well, I thought I had a strong opinion about many things, actually, very strong, but then I could change my mind on a dime if I heard somebody else's opinion and it sounded like a better plan. So I was always kind of moving back and forth, trying to sort of figure out, what did I believe? What do I think? How do I actually feel about this? And this is when we're growing up and we're trying to make our way in the world. So your second chakra is all about that. I'm sure you've also had the experience when people ask for your help and advice, and then you give them your help and advice, and then they say, yes, but, and then it's because they don't want to hear it, because they're finding an excuse to keep them stuck in their uncomfortable comfort zone. Now, in transactional analysis, this is called a game. It's a game that people play to keep themselves in a false state of safety or righteousness, but really all it is stemming from fear. And this is about fear of changing what they know, fear of taking the leap of faith that we all need to take when inspiration comes knocking at our door. This is our door. This is the entry in to our mind. Well, this is the entry in actually to our mind and down to our sacred hearts. So we lose so many opportunities because of fear of change. And when I look back, I'm just, I feel awful about all of the opportunities that I missed, because I've wasted so much time in my life by keeping myself stuck in fear instead of leaping into the abyss and trusting that my wings were going to sprout and carry me. And every time I have done that, it's worked out really well. Now, this chakra, water, is the element, and pleasure is the gift, and guilt is the saboteur. Now, because our emotions have to do with the sacral chakra, I really wanted to touch on the human brain waves. We have 5 main human brain waves. And as you're watching this training right now, you're probably in a beta brain wave state. And that's at 13 to 32 hertz. And it's kind of fast. And it means when we're alert and awake and paying attention. A gamma brain wave is super fast, from 32 to 100 hertz. And this is when we have a heightened perception and we're super aware. Now, here's a really cool little tidbit about gamma. I learned this one in hypnosis. You could actually save someone's life if they're in an accident and bleeding, right? Say somebody's in a car accident and they're bleeding profusely. They're probably, when you're kind of in a state of shock, even though they might not be moving so much and not be able to speak, they're actually in a gamma brainwave because everything's going really fast, right? Because they're trauma, adrenaline, and so if they're in the eyes and command that they sleep now. And it's really interesting. People often just go like that, and you can save their life because you can essentially stop their blood from pumping so fast. So that's kind of a cool thing, because in the gamma state, you're extremely receptive to that cognitive processing. And also, of course, they want to escape the drama that they're in. Now, a delta brainwave, however, on the bottom of the screen here, is very slow, 0.5 to 4 hertz. And this is when we're in very, very deep sleep, or indeed unconscious and out of bodily awareness. And an alpha brain wave right there in the middle of the screen is kind of mid-range from 8 to 13 hertz. That's just the frequency, the speed of the frequency of the brain is measured in hertz. And now this is when we're mentally and physically relaxed. And probably a lot of people meditate in the alpha brainwave state. And, I think it's a good gateway to meditation. But really, where I want to take people is into the theta brainwave state, which is the second from the bottom here. It's much slower, from 4 to 8 hertz. And this is when we are in deep meditation and receiving creative insight and awareness. Now, this brainwave state is so awesome because this is where we are really receptive to healing. And in this theta brainwave, that's where we can change our neural pathways. And we can learn to control our emotions instead of allowing our emotions to have their control over us. It's really fascinating. And if you'd like to learn about how you can get into that theta brainwave state fairly easily and learn how to change your entire life the way that I have completely changed my life and helped thousands of others to change their life too, I would love to hear from you. If you're ready to finally dive in and make the difference that you've been dreaming about and wanting to do. You do not have to sit like a Buddha on top of a hill for 20 years meditating deeply. You can access this quickly, and it's really life transformative. This is just some of the tools that I work with people on in this pixelization process to help get rid of all of those dark spots that are building up and causing our light to not shine brilliantly out from us. So if you're ready, I'd love to hear from you. Please private message me and book a mind shift call. I've so enjoyed sharing all of this with you. And for those of you who celebrate Christmas, I wish for you that it is filled with peace and love and joy and ho, ho, ho. Lots of love to you all, and I'll see you in the next video.